Hello, my name is Eleanor Clapham and today is the first video in a series of 6 weeks worth of videos entitled 6 Weeks to a Pain-Free, Drug-Free Birth. And I decided to make these videos to catalogue myself for the next 6 weeks because I'm 34 weeks pregnant, and in 6 weeks I'll be giving birth to my first child, a beautiful little baby boy. And the reason why I want to share the next 6 weeks with people out there is because I'm really looking forward to having a pain-free birth. And when I say that, I don't mean that I'm going to be drugged up. I mean that that my birth is not going to be the horrific, painful, terrible experience that everyone seems to believe birth should be. And before I get into why I believe this, I just want to go through what the Oxford Dictionary definition of pain is. So I've got it in front of me. It says pain, a highly unpleasant physical sensation caused by illness or injury. Another definition is mental suffering or distress. And then the idea of a great deal of trouble. She took great pains that everyone ate well. So so when I say a pain-free birth, I'm not saying that my birth is going to go by as if it was just a walk in the park and that there was no physical sensation, because I understand that the body will be going through a massive transformation and that there will be some huge physical things going on. But I do not believe that childbirth has to be either painful or unpleasant, and that the physical experience that you have doesn't have to be uncomfortable per se. So before I get into why I believe what I believe, and over the next 6 weeks I'm going to go very deeply into the philosophy behind a pain-free birth. I'm going to talk about history. I'm going to talk about the history of medicalization of birth. I'm going to talk about hypnobirthing, nutrition, and just basically the power of the mind. And I'm also just going to talk about my own sort of personal journey, because this is a first time for me, and it's very easy for me to say this. But to actually put something into practice is another thing, and that's really the reason why I want to have some actually catalogued proof of what I believe. And I'd like to tell a story of how I came to this sort of mindset. At Christmas time this year, so about 10 months ago, about 8 months ago, my very old friend came over to our house for Christmas dinner. And when I say old, I mean as in we've known each other for a long time. And she was pregnant, 6 months pregnant at that point, and I actually hadn't seen her for quite a while. So I started to ask her about, you know, what are you feeling? And I actually asked her, are you afraid of the birth? Because at the time I had the image in my head that I believe that probably 99% of people have in their head about what birth is. It's what you've seen in the movies. You see like a woman who is sweating and screaming and throwing things at her husband or breaking her husband's hand, and you know the hospital staff is running around, and it's this horrible frenzy, and it's, you know, this terrible traumatic experience. And that's what I had in my head, if that's what birth is. And she said to me, no, I'm looking forward to it. And so we started talking a bit, and she told me that she decided that she was definitely not going to have an epidural. And that surprised me. And I asked, you know, why would you want to put yourself through pain? And she said, I don't believe that birth should be painful. And I have to admit that at the time I thought this was a little bit airy-fairy, a bit naive. And then I asked her, why do you not want to have an epidural? And she said that, she gave me this reason about how babies who their mothers had been under an epidural were less able to breastfeed after birth. And admittedly, at the time I thought this was not really a good enough reason to put yourself through pain. It seemed a little weak and silly to me. So at that time, pregnancy wasn't really something that interested me, so I didn't really pursue the conversation very deeply. And then basically what happened, about 6 weeks later, I was really feeling very lethargic and low in energy, and I went to the doctor to get a blood test to see if I was iron deficient, and it turned out that I was myself pregnant. And so this was a pleasant little surprise. And so when I got to about 10 weeks, I went over to see this same friend to sort of see how she was going with her pregnancy, since, you know, pregnancy was something I knew nothing about. I went there to get some advice. And I brought up the issue again about how, you know, she'd mentioned not having any drugs during her birth, and about how she was going for this pain-free birth. And we had this conversation that really changed my paradigm, and not just about birth, but basically about everything. And what she talked to me about the concept of hypnobirthing, and she talked about the philosophy behind allowing the body to do what it's built to do. And she talked about the effect that fear has on the human body. And it actually made a lot of sense to me when you think about it, that we all know that unpleasant emotions can have a detrimental effect to our bodies. You know, you hear stories about people being so upset that they have a heart attack and die. That people know about that. Or that someone, you know, you're being so afraid that your chest starts hurting and your palms start sweating, or you start shaking. So you can see that that fear has some sort of effect on the body. So why should fear not have an effect on us during childbirth? Now, this is a very complicated issue, and I'm actually going to devote an entire video to this subject. But I just wanted to touch on it for now, to basically put some foundation behind what it is that I believe. So over the next 6 weeks, I'm going to take you through my journey. I'm going to show you what sort of exercise that I'm doing physically, and also what sort of relaxation methods I'm doing, and also I'm going to talk all about my mental exercises, and how the affirmations that I do, and everything that I've done to prepare myself for the next 6 weeks. And then finally, this series will end with the actual footage of my birth, so that people can actually see for themselves living proof that it's possible to have a comfortable and beautiful and calm birth without all of the fear and pain that's usually associated to birth. So thank you for coming on my journey. And Lucas says goodbye too. This is my little baby boy. And I'll see you hopefully over the next 6 weeks.